Hello class, today we are going to see the application of computer network in today's world. Each of you would have visited Google many a time. So, we need to first of all understand this concept, and later on in the coming lectures, we will be able to correlate these concepts with the applications. For example, if we open www.google.com, you see this kind of a page will come up. So, we need to first of all understand what is www.google.com. So, if we write www.google.com, so many people say that this is a URL, that is Universe Resource Locator, and many will say that this is a search engine, and many of you would agree that it is a website or a web page. Now, but if you ask computer expert, then he will say it is none of these. Why so? We need to see this concept very clearly. For example, if we divide this whole string into three components 1, 2 and 3, the third component is COM. Now, what exactly is this COM? Now, this COM is called usually a commercial, that means this is a commercial website. But it may so happen that person has purchased a commercial website and none of the commercial things are happening on that website. It is quite possible. Then what exactly is the meaning of this COM? Now, if you look into the dictionary of internet, it is being said that this is called TLD, which stands for top level domain. So, that means COM is a top level domain. Then we come to the second part, which is Google. Now, if you look into the second part, this is simply a company ID or a organization ID. That means it's simply a name. Now, if we combine this 2 with 3, so it becomes google.com. Now, this thing is called domain name. So, what exactly is domain name? Domain name is collection of many machines together. That means in a particular domain, for example, google.com, we will have hundreds and thousands of machines. That is why domain name is called a umbrella prefix. It is an umbrella prefix for the domain. Now, if you look into the first part, which was www, so many of us have studied that www stands for World Wide Web. But in this context, this www is actually not World Wide Web, rather it is a name of the machine. So, it is simply a machine name. So, if we combine this machine name with the domain name, then the resultant is PQDN, which stands for partially qualified domain name. Now, if you see the hierarchy of this, we start with the dot, which is basically called root, and from the root we go to TLDs. They are called top level domains, and those are, we can have COM domain, we can have gov domain, we can have edu domain. So, all these are top level domains. From the top level domains, if we draw the hierarchy, there would be many companies who have purchased this particular domain, like Google, we can have Facebook, we can have Yahoo. Similarly, on the educational front, you can have many educational institutes who have purchased this top level domain. For example, it could be MIT, it could be IIT, it could be Punjabi University. So, all these are under edu domain, or if we say India, in the Indian context, these names could be ac.in or edu.in. So, in this case, edu.in or ac.in is top level domain. So, these all educational institutes have acquired one of such domains. Now, if you go further into the hierarchy, we will find that each of these companies or educational institutes have hundreds and thousands of machines, and one such machine would be called as www. Now, if you draw the hierarchy will be www.google.com. So, it is called FQDN. So, if we remove this dot, this is PQDN. So, if we include this dot, this becomes FQDN. So, FQDN stands for fully qualified domain name. Now, with this concept that whenever we specify FQDN or PQDN into the address bar of a browser, basically we are interacting with a client. So, client is your laptop or your PC, and it is trying to connect to a particular FQDN or PQDN. Now, in response to this, there would be a server, and that server will send me the result back to my browser. And this concept is called client and server communication. So, server is either a Google server or it can be a Punjabi University server, and client is anyone who wants to get connected to these servers. Now, let us open a Explorer, Internet Explorer or Google Chrome, and we will see that whenever we open a particular website, what happens. Let us take this example. I have opened a website called google.com on the screen. Now, if you look into this website, many people will recognize this as a Google, but we need to know why it is Google. Is it due to this logo which is shown on the screen, or is it due to the address bar which says www.google.co.in? Now, many of us, almost 90% of the people, think that it is either due to this logo or it is due to the address bar. But let me show you one case. If we open www.google.com, now it opens Thapar University website. Now, we are not able to correlate this address bar with the site which is being shown. Now, imagine if I could have shown you the same Google logo with the same name. So, would you be able to differentiate between an actual Google or a fake Google? It becomes very difficult. That means, in order to know the concepts of computer network, first of all, we need to understand the correlation between the address bar and the thing which is shown on the screen. Now, in order to understand this, there is a basic principle of computers that computer understand numbers. It may be a binary number, it may be a hexadecimal number, or it may be a decimal number. So, computer is good in remembering numbers, and we as a human are good in remembering names. That is why if you list down website names, you will be able to list down 20, 30, 40 website names, because that is what your memory will say. But if I want to ask, can you correlate any of these names like www.google.com with its address, it becomes very difficult. So, we are not good in remembering addresses, rather we are good in remembering names. Now, whenever in the browser we specify a FQDN like www.google.com, my browser says I do not know what exactly is the meaning of google.com. So, it asks me to give address. Now, that address is given to me by a specified server program which is called DNS. So, DNS is called domain name server. Now, this domain name server concept will be coming in the coming lectures, but for the timing just try to understand that this is a resolver. That means it resolves the FQDN to IP address. So now think of this scenario that if www.google.com is mapped to a fake IP. So what is going to happen? I am going to open a fake website. That means the problem is with the DNS mapping, and this particular thing is called DNS poisoning, that somebody poisoned my DNS, somebody altered the entries of my DNS server. So how to verify that whether a particular website is the website which I want? So we need to just know few commands. For example, let's go to the command prompt and run a command called nslookup. Now nslookup is a command which will hook me directly to the DNS server. So this DNS server at this point of time, if you see, has an address of 103.8.44.5. So this is my default DNS. At this point of time, the machine is connected to the internet. Now if I give a command here, www.google.com, now it gives me IP addresses which are currently mapped on this DNS server to www.google.com. Let me pick up any of these IP addresses and copy, and let's go back to the Explorer and paste the address there. Now if you paste the address and open the website, now you see it opens Google. But still the problem is whether this is actual Google or a fake Google. Still the problem remains same. That means even if the IP address is specified rather than a FQDN, still the problem persists. That means we are not able to differentiate between an actual Google or a fake Google. So let's go back and study the output which was given by nslookup command. Now if you look into this command carefully, so it says it is a non-authoritative answer. Now what is this non-authoritative answer? That means even my DNS is not sure whether the IP addresses which are returned are actual IP addresses or they are fake IP addresses, because it says it is non-authoritative. But there is one thing which is very good in this world, like if we have a day, we have a night. If we have a dawn, we have a dusk. Similarly, if we have a non-authority, definitely we have to have some authority. So if we ask the authority and authority also give us the same IP address which is returned by the non-authority, then we can definitely say that the website which we open is 100% that website which we want. Now let's see how to see that who is authority on what. Now if you have an Indian domain and you want to find the authority, you need to go to a particular website called www.registry.in. So it is the registrar of all the Indian websites. But if you have an international domain or a top level domain and you want to query it, then you will go to www.whois.net. Now let's first of all find that what is thapar.edu domain. So we'll give a command on whois website, tell me what is thapar.edu. So when we press enter, so it returns a result, so which says name servers. So as you can see, thapar.edu website has 4 name servers. Now these name servers are authoritative name servers for Thapar University. Similarly, you can find out any website and those websites would have mentioned the authoritative name servers. Now we are going to go back to our command prompt and query one of these servers and verify the IP address which is returned by these servers. Now let's go back. So we are going to give a command server, and whatever we have noted from the previous screen, ns1.easydns.com, which is authority on Thapar website. So we are going to give that as a query. We'll say ns1.easydns.com. Now we get hooked to this particular server. As you can see, the IP address got changed. So now it says 64.68.192.210, which is IP address of easydns.com DNS server. Now we are going to fire a query here, which is www.thapar.edu. Now you see, because this particular website DNS is authority on Thapar, so it is returning me a result which doesn't say that it is non-authority, because this particular DNS is authority on this university website. So if we copy any of these IP addresses now and paste it on an address bar of our browser, so we are going to get a website which is the website which we want. Now 100% we can say that this is the original website, this is not the fake website. So this is how we can prove the identity of a particular website by using the concept of authority and non-authority of a DNS server. Now let's have another query. For example, I need to know whether this email address is original or a fake email address, or I want to know if I send an email to msing where this email is going to go. Because if you know the previous concept, it says the email address is msing@thapar.edu. Now what is thapar.edu? We have learnt in the previous session that thapar.edu is a domain name. Now this domain name would have hundreds and thousands of machines. Now these hundreds and thousands of machines, we are not specifying here any one of such machines. That means this particular email address is not in a FQDN format. So if it is not a FQDN format, how I will be able to reach this address? That is the problem. That means we don't know to which server the email will get delivered, because it is not a FQDN. So in order to verify this concept, so whenever we specify an email address in our email client, again the request goes back to DNS server. Let's see how that query is being handled by the DNS server. Again we are going to run a command called nslookup. Now we have a specialized command here, set q is equal to mx. So that means I want to query a DNS server for mail exchanger, that I want to know who is the mail exchanger for a particular domain. Now if we give here thapar.edu, now you see it gives me so many addresses. Now these all are FQDNs. Now you see it says 5 mail exchanger thapar.edu .s10a1.psmtp.com. That means this is now FQDN. That means anybody who is sending an email to msing@thapar.edu, the email is going to go to this particular server, because this is recognized as a fully qualified domain name. Now then what is the significance of these numbers? So you have 5, 10, 20, 7, 8, 9, these numbers. Now these numbers are basically priority of an email server. Now email server is very critical for an organization. So what is being done? These email servers have been given a priority. So lesser is the number, more is the priority. That means very first thing is the email will be delivered to priority with 5. If this email server is down, then it will be delivered to 8, 7, 9 according to the priority. So this is how the email will get delivered to a particular user's email box. Now let's go back to another concept which is very crucial. For example, I want to book a ticket, but I don't know whether that particular website is fake or that website is original. So what we need to do, we need to prove the identity. So we have seen one method of authority and non-authority, but most of the financial institute websites will never publish their authoritative name servers. So how to prove the identity of a financial institute website? Now we need to do two things. As soon as we go to a website, for example, we are using a ICICI Bank website. So, if we click on this personal tab, so it takes me to a login. So, when you see a login, very first thing which we need to verify is that this should have HTTPS as part of the address bar. Now, what this S stands for? S stands for security. That means the transaction between a client and a server is secure. Now, how that is secure? This is being done with the help of encryption. That means whatever data is getting traveled from my laptop to ICICI Bank server, it is first of all getting encrypted and then it is being passed to the server. So, encryption ensures that in between, if anybody is reading the traffic, he will not be able to know what is that traffic. So, it is in an encrypted format. And second thing, in order to know the surety of this particular website, so we are going to look at a digital certificate of this website. So, this is being shown here with the help of this lock. So, if you click on this lock and go to the connection, so it says the identity of this particular banking website is verified by a particular company called Entrust Certification Authority. That means this website is proved as Entrust Certification Authority's website. So, this website has a digital certificate and this certificate is in a OK state. So, if this particular certificate is in OK state, then we are very much sure that this particular website is this website. Now, we learned about these concepts, that how to prove a financial institute website identity as well as how to prove the identity of a non-financial institute website. So, we learned that there are two things, one is authoritative name server, another is non-authoritative name server, and second one is we can prove the identity with the help of digital certificate. So, that is it for today. So, in the next lectures, we are going to correlate the concept which we have learned today about the DNS server, about the authority, about the mail exchanger in the coming up session. Thank you very much.